So goal without a plan is just a wish. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you on our second supply chain transformation event. And today we have an amazing speaker who is a master of planning, a master planner. We have brought a master planner for you to share with you how to plan at the time of COVID, how effectively you can do it and how efficiently you're going to, because supply chain is all about efficiency and responsiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shuvo. I'm the CEO of Successante, and we are a provider of world-class certification when it comes to supply chain. And we represent ISCEA, which is the highest authority when it comes to certification on supply chain. The objective behind this event, its webinar, is we want to demonstrate the capability of all our certification course holders. Today, the speaker who's going to talk to you, he just finished his certification program, which is CSCM, Certification on Supply Chain Management. And today you will see him in action because this gentleman has a wealth of knowledge and wealth of experience. He's going to share with you, right? So if you are excited, are you excited to listen to him? If you're excited, please type in yes on your chat box. Please type in yes on your chat box if you're excited. Okay, great. Thank you, Ashraf. Thank you. Great. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on to the business. So it's all about planning, as I said today. So let me take a few minutes to introduce today's speaker. As I said, he's a master planner, right? So he started his career at John Keells Holding, and then he worked himself up to operation manager at the FMCG division. Then he joined a very popular multinational, Unilever. He was there for 4 years. Then a local government giant, Brandis. He worked there for 5 years as a head of planning. And as I mentioned recently, he just finished his certification program on supply chain. Currently, now when you have wealth of knowledge and wealth of experience, what do? Obviously, he has become a consultant, right? And at the moment, he is consulting a group called MGM Organization, who's a local FMCG manufacturer. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause to the speaker today, Madhujit Rajakaruna, on his presentation on supply chain planning at the time of COVID-19. Madhujit, over to you.
All of a sudden, people are buying a lot more toilet papers than they need. Because of that, there are certain areas that went out of stock, and people were not able to buy what they need. Is it a problem in the demand? Or is it a problem in the supply chain? Why? Then the US makes history when the price of an good crude oil barrel went well below zero. As people start using electric cars suddenly, isn't there a demand anymore for gasoline? Why? Hi, welcome, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to talk about supply planning. I'm going to talk about supply chain planning during COVID-19. I'm going to talk about 3 things. 1, importance of planning in supply chain. Then number 2, challenges that we are currently facing due to this COVID-19. And then we're going to talk about practices to overcome the current situation and the impact and how to minimize the impact and how to manage the supply chain surplus. So, is planning important? Is it important? You can type in the chat box. Is it important? Yes, it is important. Why? Because supply chain planning Planning is the governance process in sales and operation. O, planning is the tool, the governance process that drives the supply chain. So in supply chain planning, we start with demand planning, we do supply planning, we have capacity planning, under supply planning, and then inventory and logistic planning. So there are slight differences. There are two types of supply chains. One, which like FMCG, where they manufacture products and they sell. And then there's another set like apparel, where they manufacture to orders. There are two different types. One is push, what we say is push type of a supply chain, and another one is pull type of a supply chain. So I'm going to cover both. So do you like to know the challenges? What are the challenges we are facing right now? So demand variation, there are abnormal fluctuations. So we see a lot of ups and downs and out of stocks. So there are so many abnormalities in the sales that we are recording right now. So we have disruption in our raw material flow. There are vessel delays, there are flight delays, and your suppliers have issues. So therefore you have that. And then the cadre drops and sudden absenteeism. When a certain area got locked down, you have your cadre, you have your team that can get locked down in that area, so that there's at least minimum 14 days quarantine period. And if one worker got infected, his contacts has to be quarantined. Then you have sudden absenteeism because of that. And then layout management is very relevant to apparel industry. You know that they have a lines of operation lines, but due to COVID-19, now as per the health authorities rules, now we have to maintain at least 1 meter or 1.5 meter distance between two operators. So you have to change the layout. So earlier you might have a line with 32 operators, but now you can't have that much. It may come down to 26. So there's issue. And then you probably have certain your operators that have been trained specially to do special jobs. But if that person cannot come to work, then there's a skill gap. Then you have an issue. So those are the issues right now we are facing. So coming to demand planning. First, you have to understand demand impact specific to your business. So what sort of business you are doing? What sort of the service that you are providing? Is it an essential product? Is it an essential service? Is it a commodity that you are manufacturing? Or whether you are providing a luxury item. So you have to know that. You have to understand what sort of business that you are in. And then confirm the short-term demand supply strategy. You have to plan with what you have, the inventory in your hand, the finished good and the raw materials. Plan for what you have and how to manage it. You may have to rationalize it. You have to speak with your sales team and rationalize it. So that's one way of managing it in the short term. And then prepare for potential channel shifts. Now, earlier, people use internet for online buying. About 20%, about 25% of their total need. And that volume has now grown up by 160% on average globally, because there are so many people now order their groceries, their medicine, everything online. Not just direct internet, but you have WhatsApp, Viber, where you send your prescription. There are certain pharmacies in Sri Lanka where you can send the photo of your prescription and then they deliver. There are so many online payment methods. Even Sri Lankan government is promoting cashless payments. So that is there. So probably you have a channel shift. So there will be a drop in general trade, which are not like where people go and shop. Then how to manage promotions. I think it's not a good time to promote your key brands or your fast moving products. Rather than promoting them, it's a good, you should work on sustaining its baseline and then providing that supply. And then you can change your promotion budget to products which are short expiry that you are having, that you want to exhaust. And then you may have products which has a higher inventory carrying cost. So you can exhaust them. You can allocate your promotion budget to those products. You can exhaust those products. And then how it's going to be for the future. These spikes, definitely, as I mentioned previously, these out of stock situations are polluting your sales history, so that you cannot use this data for your future forecasting. So how to manage it? I will give you a good story. A certain company, they use SAP APO for their planning, as their planning tool. So they used to feed that SAP APO with their sales system, the sales history, and generate baselines, the forecast using that sales data. But with the current situation, you can't do it because the sales history has been polluted because of these spikes and drops. So how do they do it? How they are managing it? They are cleansing the data, they are adjusting the data, modifying data manually, and they have a modified, there's a separate field in SAP APO. I think probably every tool is providing that you can have manually adjusted data and use that to plan, forecast for the future. Will demand return to normal baseline? Or will there be waves of large scale buying? Well, of course, because as I mentioned previously, you have to look into this channel shift. So that channel shift will be there, and certain industries, as I mentioned in the presentation, the restaurants, some have been closed, some areas have been closed. So then there will be a change again when things come back to normal. So you have to be ready for that. And of course, it will be challenging to predict because you never know, you can't predict when area, what time, for how long that the movements will be restricted. So you have to be prepared for that. So coming into supply and capacity planning, enhance allocated available to promise capability. You probably have a backlog, especially this is make to order. You will have a backlog when you are restarting your work. So first, I think the best is to allocate your available capacity is to that backlog, because those customers have been waiting and they have not canceled the orders. So try to supply that first. And then when you are doing it, you can combine all the orders you have. And if you are manufacturing a similar kind of products, so all those orders have the similar variants, you can combine that variance and then plan for longer runs rather than plan order by order, so that you can plan by variant. So that will help you to gain efficiency. If you are manufacturing commodity or a stronger brand, a product, plan for long runs, plan to build a reserve. Then managing brands and variants. Most of the businesses, about 80% of your turnover comes from 20% of your brands or variants. So focus on those key variants, focus on your key strong brands, and try to supply them as much as possible and build stocks of those products. I will give you a very good story. A certain company, a certain apparel manufacturer in Sri Lanka, now they have a customer based in US, right? And that customer serves it has businesses in North America as well as in South Africa. So they also got impacted because of COVID. And then when the Sri Lankan company, the manufacturer restarting their work, they had about good 20, 30 orders as backlog active. And the customer said, okay, you manufacture them and you supply. And the company, the manufacturer now has a problem because of this COVID issue. Now they have a limited number of workers and they have to change the layout. So they can't run at the higher efficiency because of these issues. So they do have an issue with the capacity, with the supply. So therefore, they collect all orders, they combine all the orders. So in those orders, they had 6 silhouettes: full brief, hipster, high cut, high leg, and then you have the boy short and the bikini and the thong. These are a lingerie manufacturing company. So they had these 6 silhouettes or the 6 styles. And out of those 6 styles, the full brief and the hipster, they had the quantity of about 60% of the total quantity, and bikini and the thong, those 2 products had less than 10%. So what did the manufacturer did? It spoke to its customer and said, look, I do have issues like this with my carder, with the efficiency and with the raw material flow as well. So rather than producing order by order, rather than changing style continuously, let me run 60% of the total quantity of 2 key brands of yours, or the 2 key styles of yours, which is hipster and the full brief. And after that, I will run the rest of 4 styles, their full quantity, and then the balance 40% of hipster and the full brief. Does it make sense? Tell me, does it make sense? It does, right? It does, because as a manufacturer, from the manufacturer's point, he can have long runs. He can have long runs for those 2 key variants. So after the learning cycle, the manufacturing can run at a certain good efficiency level. And as a customer, for the customer, it will not go out of stock because key products are available. It will not go totally out of stock because its key 2 styles are available in their outlets. So they will not have a huge sale loss. And then as the end customer or the consumer, they will also have their main style or the main product with them. So it makes sense, right? For the manufacturer, it can manage its inventory flow, can manage its efficiency, and as the buyer can have its key variants or the key products available, and manufacturer can have longer runs as well. Okay, so then plan for high absenteeism. As I mentioned, you have to plan, you have to have a buffer in that, and then plan at low efficiency. Rather than compromising the quality, rather than trying to meet a higher efficiency, because currently the raw material flow also has issues. So you damage the products, then you will have issues with the replenishing them. So therefore, keep a buffer and plan at a low efficiency so that you can manage with your card absenteeism as well. And then get the operation team, develop your workers for 2-3 operation rather than 1 operation. So these is not directly linked to planning, but it will help you in planning. And then keep your customers, keep your relevant stakeholders informed, and code the deliveries accordingly so that your customer will not have surprises and you will not be in stress, because there's a visibility for your buyer as well, how things happening. Right. So planning inventory. So focus on storing more. I think those who are in inventory management, they know that there's a classification ABC. So plan to have more products which are key for you. Try to build a reserve, because you will, when you are not producing your variants or all the SKUs that you need, you will have certain space available, obviously. And so therefore plan to store the key materials available for key variants, and then build up your key or stronger brands, build a reserve for them, build stocks of them. So coming into logistics, uh, the same apparel manufacturer, as I mentioned, which I mentioned previously. Now what they do is, now they have a lot of backlog, so they always try to send full container loads rather than half container loads. So plan on that. And then for FMCG manufacturers, we discussed about channel shifts. So there's now a certain good amount, certain bulk amount is done by online vendors. So those online vendors may want to buy from you directly from the manufacturer rather than through another distributor. So then you should try to build a mechanism or a delivery channel to serve them in small lots rather than full truckloads. So I'm going to leave you with that. And then this is a summary of which I presented to you. So demand before COVID, how we did, and then we have sudden drops, sudden surges. So you have to keep a note. You have to have a note on every point, every delivery that you send, that because of these reasons, this spike happened, this out of stock happened, so that will be a reference when you clean the data. Otherwise, that will be forgotten, and naturally it will become the normal sale. The cleansed data will be the normal sale. So not to happen that, you just keep a note on that. That will be a good reference for you. And then promotions, as I mentioned, try to exhaust what you want to exhaust, allocate budget for those products, but try to build a stocks and sustain baselines of your main commodity or the stronger brands. And then commodities, essentials, prioritize, as I said, non-key products, non-brands. I will give you a small example. We'll take an example from Unilever. They have Sunlight yellow, white, green, and pink. So what is the key variant? Sunlight yellow. So like that, if that is available in the market, other than other three, people don't worry about the other three, they will buy the yellow. So like that, you plan accordingly, and then serve the active and promise orders, prioritize and allocate capacity for available inventory and customers who are waiting or for the backlog. I will give another example regarding these commodities and essentials. A certain company which does manufacturing in the beauty products, skin cleansing, and home care products. So right now we see there's a huge demand for skin cleansing and as well as home care products, cleansing. So now, rather than promoting their beauty products, they are focusing more on cleansing, and they are they're advertising on those products and putting more weight to sell those products, because there's a demand. Like when you go out, you have to, when you come in, you have to wash your old clothes, you have to get yourself clean. So every day you have to wash your clothes rather than keeping them for a day or two and create a bulk and then wash it. So they are focusing on that, they are pushing on that. So then make to order, as I mentioned, plan for long runs, plan. So from that you can gain efficiency. Card absenteeism, we used to plan less than 5%. The absenteeism was less than 5% when we are planning earlier, but now it has come, it's going way above 20%. So plan accordingly and code deliveries based on that. So efficiency, rather than compromising quality, plan at lower efficiency. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And last but not least, I would say that you have to keep your focus on your long-term strategy and do not let that get overshadowed by your short-term actions that you are doing right now. So any questions? Any questions?
Is there any question? See, you can scroll up. Yes.
Okay, so
Ask if you have any question.
do you have any questions? Can type in the chat box if you wish to.
Okay.
Okay, so
So actually, I have a question. So thank you very much. Madhujit, for your presence here and then the knowledge that you shared with us. Definitely, it will make a positive impact. And so, just wanted to. So, what you are saying is that at this pandemic time, all the planning got disrupted.
yes, yes, because things that we had planned suddenly came to a halt. So everything got disrupted.
Right.
So it's from the stop that we have to plan again.
Right.
Like we have to start from zero. We have to start from zero and do again, because the reason, as I mentioned, is like we had certain orders planned, and when we are restarting, actually those orders should have gone, but no, they are still there to manufacture. So from that point onwards, taking that as the starting point, we have to start again for all that.
So that means the companies have done it, and then they made sure that.
Yes.
So it took how long usually averagely company it took time
Well,
to turn around.
well, most of the companies we still do have issues, because again and again we see that when we do some random test at certain companies, you find positive people, so that area has to be quarantined, that workers have to be quarantined. So still we are finding, but now I would say about 80%, most of the companies are back with their work. But still, yes, you do have until it gets normal. Until a certain medicine or something like that, a cure is being found for this COVID, will have this. And so you have to have. So when you're planning, you should keep that buffer and plan, so that you will not have any shocks, or your customers will not have any additional shocks.
Right. So
because you keep the visibility, you tell them, I'm planning like this. If it works well, you will get an early delivery, but if it doesn't, you will get delivery like this.
So you need to inform your clients earlier.
Give them the
informed.
Give them the visibility.
Okay, got it. So vaccination, whether it's going to work or not, we're yet to find out. Yes. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any question, please put it on the chat box. I'm actually surprised. Imam doesn't have any question. Usually, Tanvi, he usually asks question. But anyhow, if you have any question, please put up on the chat box. Yes. So go ahead. Come, Imam. So Imam is actually from Bangladesh attending this. Thank you very much for joining. So go ahead and ask. Okay, probably he's typing. So you recently finished CSCM, right?
Yes.
So how was that experience?
Well, it's actually great, because we gain knowledge by experience, and then the CSCM helped us to streamline it and put it into one book, I would say, so that you have everything in a very ordered manner, by chapters. So it's a very good experience. I mean, that course, that program really helped me to like manage, I mean, to get my knowledge and experience well organized and well focused.
So did it help you as a consultant?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Okay, great.
Because it helped me to like structure my knowledge so that I can pass it to somebody very efficiently.
Right. Brilliant. So yes, there's a question. So you said safety stock gonna up from 5% to 20%.
Rather, I
Why-
would say
why
it's,
20?
it's not. I think I didn't talk about the sector stock. I think it's about the absenteeism.
Yeah,
HR part, because we normally plan for 5% absenteeism. We used to plan, but now the absenteeism is well above 20%. So we planned for that.
20%.
So heavy industry and also service industry, how they can apply that. But I think most of the service industry, such as software development and outsource companies, finance, accounting, those companies actually, they do have interruptions, but still, because they manage online. So most of the software companies, they manage online. So therefore, the impact on them is less. But when it comes to say, obviously you have, so hotel is a service industry, then hospitals, that is also service industry, but they, on the other hand, have a huge impact for them. So that is there. Then the advice is like, I would say, well, for hotels, I think that is actually kind of a being processed by the government. So now I think in Sri Lanka, they're going to open the airport. So I think you can start with the minimum card. So you can start accommodating, tourists for your available card, and also there also you keep a buffer, obviously, so that it will help in case of absenteeism. Because when you have guests, you can't stop, like you can't ask them not to come anymore when you have bookings. So then you will have an issue. So therefore, always accommodate customers or the guests and plan with a buffer.
Great. Okay, great. So thank you, ma'am, for those two lovely questions. And so thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. So the secret of COVID planning is have a buffer. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. So when you're doing planning, please keep that in mind. So we'd like to thank all of you for being here. Thank you, Madhujit. Your presence has certainly made a difference. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Look out for our next webinar next month. Every third week of every month, we do this webinar, Supply Chain Transformation, with all our Sri Lankan CSCM graduates to demonstrate their knowledge, their capability of presentation. That was a demonstration of Madhujit's today, which both of us, we did the CSCM together. So I thought he can come and share his knowledge that would be useful for everybody. With that, have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Madhujit. Thank you.
The most profitable companies in the world have learned to use their supply chains to keep goods and services flowing into the marketplace. But supply chain processes are only as good as the people who keep them running. Supply chain employment opportunities are constantly being created, and ISCEA certified professionals are getting the best paid jobs. If you wish to become a sound supply chain professional and gain real-world experience and knowledge, then ISCEA is your one-stop source for supply chain education, certification, and recognition. ISCEA is the International Supply Chain Education Alliance. We were the first organization certifying supply chain professionals around the globe, and we remain the worldwide authoritative resource for supply chain career validation, with thousands of certificate holders commanding top-tier salaries. Our certification programs are aligned with best practices and industry-proven standards. They bring together academic research advances and innovative industry trends. validating that you have the knowledge used by top companies to remain competitive in an ever-changing business environment. For your company, that translates into significant cost reductions, faster revenue growth, and a collaborative teamwork environment. For your career, it means exceeding everyone's expectations and taking control of your future. So, what are you waiting for? Stand out from the crowd and take your career to the next level with an ISCEA internationally recognized supply chain certification.